Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to the debut show podcast, TMI, the Money Initiative, y'all. I appreciate each and every single one of y'all who's coming in to come hear us talk. And like we always start off, and this is what we're going to say each and every single video. Make sure the outcome is always income. And so, to my right and to y'all left, I got a very special guest who's with me today, and I really appreciate him coming through, man. We always have some great conversations. Man's name, Rxdha, founder of the Cyber Panther Party, and also is a business owner of Big Slabs as well. Thank you very much, Rxdha. I appreciate you coming on. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for having me, young activist.
For sure. Oh, man, I appreciate you. Definitely.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here. Nice set. I like the set, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, season 6, episode 1. Let's get it. The Money Initiative. Let's talk about money.
Definitely. Let's do it. So, my first question to you, actually, I have it written down as well. Actually, before we even get into that, we was talking a little bit before. What is like the most important thing to you? Start off with something.
The most important thing to me overall?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to say faith, you know, I would have to say, you know, the Most High, you know, and then, you know, family, you know what I mean? Freedom, you know, I'd have to say empowerment, you know, the ability to be able to like empower others keeps me going to be wanting to become more, you know, empowering.
Okay, so the Most High.
Most High.
The Most High. I agree. 100%.
Yes, sir.
That's valuable. You know what I'm saying? Also with, you know, importance. So what got you into understanding financial literacy or like money? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it comes from that desire to really help my mom and my dad, my family, you know, and then, you know, obviously to be able to contribute and, you know, be able to build, you know, being a home provider as well, you know, just being able to, you know, take care of my side of providing, you know, so that, you know, my woman or my family would be able to take care of their part of the equation.
Yeah.
And raising the generation, teaching the people, and just, you know, providing for me, you know, keeping me centered, you know.
Right.
And so, yeah, so just the desire, you know, for that. And to be honest with you, I'll break it down for you a little bit, okay? So it was the frustration for me working in the music industry at a very high level for so many years and not having anything to show for it. So at that time, you know, I kind of quit, you know, I moved, you know, back to Denver, started working in recording studios here in Denver at Side 3, for example. I worked there as an engineer in 2015. And, you know, it was the same thing over and over, basically. So I was escaping the big industry, but I didn't escape the music industry by just, you know, coming to a kind of more of a engineering gig versus, you know, production gig, right? And so I was like, man, this, you know, I hate this, you know, and I know so many creative people. And then just looking from a business standpoint, where I started looking into equity positions in Spotify and who owns the equity, the labels, how they're selling their streams for super low. So then, you know, if Michael Jackson's stream is, you know, 0.00006, they're not going to give a new artist anything more than that, you know, and so they set the price like that. And then, you know, I started looking at the things like that, and I hated the industry more and more and more. And I was, you know, kind of a bitter man at that time, you know, because again, I've dedicated my life and, you know, started working in the industry after going to school, started working in 2009 and at Capitol Records and different big places. And, you know, it was nowhere to be found. And I didn't have anything. And then I seen how they, you know, preyed on artists, you know, all along. And, you know, they siphoned the energy from all these different people that, you know, they, you know, ultimately didn't pay. And so, you know, so then I started learning, like, you know, well, man, I wish I could be in the board of Spotify, for example. Like, I wish I had enough money to, you know, have equity into Spotify and be on the board.
Right, by yourself in.
By myself in. And so I was like, man, what does it take? Like, I was like, okay, so the way this works is you have to conquer the business, and then you can do whatever you want with the music or with the opinion or, you know, shape opinion and things like that. And so it just taught me, you know, that, you know, business is everything in industry, you know, and so you have to learn the business. And so I dove in and started learning the business, and that's the full kind of story of, like, you know, the catalyst that pushed me over the top to be like, listen, guys, don't call me for music, don't call me for interviews, don't call me for anything, and I'm just here locked in learning, and I'm gonna be, you know, building a business. You know, and so I stopped engineering for people, producing, making beats, doing what I love to do, right? What I've dedicated my life to doing for 20 some years. And, you know, and so from that point on, it was about how do we make the money initially that, you know, that we could, you know, operate, we could live comfortably, be free, but also contribute and build the world. So there you go.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So contributing and building the world. So speaking on worlds, right? You come from what, Sudan? What is that? Would you consider that a third world country or a second world country?
No, it's absolutely third world. If there was a fourth, I would put it down a little bit lower too.
So yeah, I mean, and then North Sudan, what is the newest country in the world, or South Sudan?
South Sudan is one of the newer ones for sure. Probably the newest one. If I'm, you know, I don't want to.
2011. Pretty sure.
Right, 2012, yeah,
2012?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so with that, you said you come from mid-Sudan, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So coming here to America, how old were you when you first came in?
I was about 13 years old.
So was it a culture shock to come in?
Oh man, big time, big time. You know, it was a cultural shock because, you know, growing up out there, you know, we've seen, you know, I don't know, Spider-Man and, you know, all these different, you know, cultural movies. And then so you have this idea of America looking more like LA or New York, you know, but then you come to Denver in 2003 and or 4 and you're like, is this America? You know, like, and I came from Abu Dhabi at the time, which Abu Dhabi is, again, it's a big city. It's like LA, you know, and it's very modern. And so I was living there and then I came to Denver and I was like, I think I was living
better.
More of He
was like, yo,
what
it seems
this?
about the same. Honestly worse.
Honestly worse, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it was that experience because I did live in Emirates, but people that come straight from Sudan, even Denver is a lot better, right? Like, it's paved roads, you know, right? Like in Sudan, where we are, most villages, like most cities even, don't have paved roads. You know, and so you'd overlook a sidewalk until you're walking in the sand all day and you're like, man, why am I tired, you know?
Right.
And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm walking in sand, like literally, or walking in, you know, even worse, if it rains, it's mud at that point. So,
right.
Yeah, it was a big culture shock, you know, to be honest. I was a young teenager, young man. You know, my father has been here for a couple of years, you know, before September 11 happened. He had just got here and then he was basically, the whole country was on lockdown. So he was basically locked in America. Couldn't leave, you know, and he has a very, how do I say, Muslim name, you know, and he was, you know, his name was on all those different terrorism lists and stuff in different ways. And
what's his name?
Muhammad Ahmed.
Ah,
so
yeah.
It's easy. It's like way more popular than John Smith. Right? Like way more popular.
Right. Muhammad's like what? The most popular name in the world?
In the world.
Yeah.
And then that combination, Muhammad Ahmed, is also like the most popular combination as well.
Really? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it's, you know, he just had super popular name that was not a good thing at the time because it was September 11th and they had the war on terrorism had just, you know, was heating up. And so we were, so I was out there without him and he's here. So when we finally were able to come here, you know, it was me and my sister came here and yeah, it was very different. I was a rebel at school because school out there was way harder. You know, and so like here I was just not challenged enough. And I was just like,
school out here is garbage.
Garbage. Like I studied trigonometry in 4th grade out there.
Wow.
And then I was as a junior, you know, that's what they had. You know, trigonometry is an option now to take and like, you know, things like that. But I was very bored in school. But I was also like I would know the problem to solve in math, so I was great at math. Because I didn't need to really know the questions most of the time. Unless it's a word problem. Word problems, they, you know, gave me a run for it. But I would just, you know, solve math problems, but then I was not interested in going to like science classes and things. But
that's what, I mean, I wouldn't either. Like if something was that easy, you're like, bro, I'm going to pass all these tests, right? I'm going to
just do the math.
Right. So even going into that, you know, speaking about math, so naturally coming from a place that has a better education system means you're going to be a few steps ahead of your peers, right? So let's get into a little bit of cryptocurrency, right? And your success. So let's talk about like your success story, how you became financially successful and what you can do. And also like, what is the limits? Like, for example, when it comes to cryptocurrency and being successful in that realm, right? What's the highest peak of success you can reach, like, you know, salary-wise, annually, like, realistically, right?
Yeah, I love the question. You know, I'm gonna answer that second part first. So the highest level that you could reach is literally infinity, because the answer why is, you know, is because they can print infinite money in the fiat system. You know, and so that's why you can reach, like, crypto can reach infinite proportions. Like, for example, you have Sam Bankman-Fried, who's the owner and creator of FTX exchange, and he's a billionaire. He's 26 years old. He's multi-billionaire, actually. He's very rich. Then you have a CZ, who's also pretty young 30s, you know, also kind of a first-generation Chinese immigrant to Canada. He created Binance Exchange. That's the biggest exchange in the world, and he's also like he's in the hundreds of billions of dollars in net worth, and he has no home, like he has no real estate, no property, nothing. So I mean, what is the highest salary? I would say just infinite. Just it could be as big as you could dream it. Because it's just the way that it is. It's a new financial sector that's being born. And like Kevin O'Leary is a very kind of celebrated investor. He's one of the sharks in Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And Kevin O'Leary says it's the 12th sector of the S&P. But nobody knows it yet.
What is an S&P?
The S&P index, it's basically like the index of the stock market index.
Okay.
And it has all the industries like water, oil, electricity, all these different. So there's 11 sectors. And so he's saying the 12th sector is crypto, but they're not treating it like that. They're not giving it and so because it's not a part of that index, there's so much less people investing in it because they only invest in this index because it's the safest thing because they know these are real industries.
Right.
And so, and so people don't understand. But also, a lot of billionaires and millionaires right now and other people, understand this part about payments. Crypto has the best payment system in the world. You can pay anyone, anywhere, at any amount, at any time, and it's fast and secure. And I don't need a bank for it. So meaning, no sanctions can stop, the payments, no, things like that. But also, if I wanted to send you right now $100,000, how would I do that? If I wanted to use a bank, they would strip me off of every piece of privacy I have, and you too. And then they would enable us to maybe send it within a matter of days or weeks, And so, but at that point, it's like, no, like I could have been sent it to you within minutes with crypto, right now. That's not the technology of the future. That's the now.
Right.
And so, so I would say, my success story in crypto also revolves around that asset ownership model and why I hated the music industry.
Right.
Because I was creating these digital assets and working on these digital assets for a long time. And a digital asset is just basically anything that, you create that is online or in a computer or in a device, in a phone or something.
Right.
But something that you create, know. It could be a picture, it could be a picture that you took, that's a digital asset, or it could be a painting that you drew, or it could be a song, a sound, something like that, or a piece of content that you edited together. Any of those things can have different levels of ownership, as long as you've created it, from scratch, essentially, right? So, digital assets don't mean like you can create anything or take anyone else's IP or intellectual property, because there's still intellectual property involved. That's a whole another thing, right? But yeah, with digital assets, I was creating them, and then I wasn't getting paid for them in any way. And so when I ran across crypto, I was like, man, I don't know how to feel about this, And then I was like, the way I convinced myself to just start looking into it more was basically like, you look at music has always been tied to technology. And so whatever technology was available, you can make music with that, or it will, take the music industry further. For example, the MPC, or for example, later, the 808 machines or something. If you had them, you can make 808s. If you didn't, you don't have 808s. And so, but then you can, have the MP3 player that can kind of replace the CDs. And then then Spotify came around, but Spotify was a big shift because we've been in that era for a long time. Right. So what happened there? What happened there was a technology called Web 2.0, or basically the technology to have an app in your phone, which actually transformed a lot of industries. Industries like the taxi industry was transformed by Lyft and Uber. Industries like the airlines industries were transformed by Expedia. And all these different apps came and took over like an industry, And so you have, from tutors to so many different things that these apps do, right? But then you had the one thing that these apps did was they enabled Spotify to have the streaming. So now you could pay a monthly membership and have access to all the music in the world. So forget an MP3, forget loading it up, forget all this stuff. You just have new music all the time, every time.
Right.
And so people are like, oh, yes, this is amazing. This is great technology. It's good for us, the users.
Of course.
And so they went with it. And so now there's a new technology that's on the horizon we're early on, though. But this technology is Web 3.0. And this is basically decentralized networks, which is crypto. And so with crypto, what happens is, Bitcoin came and it removed the bank from the situation between a sender and receiver. I can send you value. You can receive value. We don't need a bank in between. you know, and those, so the same thing is going to happen with these decentralized networks where they replace other apps. It could be an app like Uber or Lyft, where it removes Uber or Lyft itself, and it's just a protocol. It's just the rider and the driver. And now there's just these two, you know, Lyft is not taking 60% of the driver, so the driver's not charging that much. So then it's cheaper for the rider and it's more money for the driver. And so it's better technology. Right. And so it's going to take over. Like, this is better technology. And so that's what's happening right now. You know, it's Web 3.0 is enabling. These apps are called dApps, or decentralized apps, you know, and these decentralized apps have a killer use case for music, you know, because again, you can remove the labels or Spotify or whoever in between that's always kind of played the music industry. And you could just leave it as the listener in the artist or the listener in the band or, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, you know, that's the way it should be. And it'll enable a lot of people. So when I realized that point, I started, okay, all right, I get it now. I think technology dictates music and entertainment and everything else. So I got to follow the technology. So now what's the technology? It's Web3. Okay, let me follow that. And started just diving into it, looking up YouTube's articles, looking up like the token trackers, you know, like CoinGecko, and just like, how do people even look at these charts? You know, what do they look for? And started looking into those and just asking, you know, the internet, asking, you know, Twitter, asking people that I knew, and just gathering research about it, you know, as much as possible. And then, you know, it struck me that it's just, you know, it's not going anywhere, you know. And then the same reason why Bitcoin went from nothing to $1,000, and then went from 1,000 to 60, and then now it's still at 20, but it was literally 5 cents a few years ago. Like the same reason, it's gonna keep going up because it's designed to. You know, and so, and it's not about the value for me, it's about the technology and that shift. So with Bitcoin being the value, that's cool, but Ethereum being the computer, or other networks like Solana or ADA, or, you know, other Binance, for example, being all networks for different reasons, where it's gaming, whether you can sell art on them or make a music app on them, you know, I think it's just the way to, like, this is where the paradigm shift happens. And because it's such a new industry, you know, it is the industry that's minting the most millionaires at the moment. It's making the most millionaires every day in different ways. And there's so many different plays, you know, and the things that you could raise value with if you wanted that, because again, you know, it's something new, and the people are not used to owning their digital assets. We've had the internet for so long, and we just think, oh, I'm gonna post this post on, you know, whatever, you know, on Instagram or on, you know, Facebook. And then, you know, you don't end up owning it. Even if you post it on YouTube, you know, you're gonna, you know, you gotta have 4,000 watch hours. You gotta have 1,000 followers. Like, how, you know, how do I even get 4,000 watch hours if I can't monetize at all? And even when you get there, you're still, your monetization is very little. So, and at the end of the day, you know, if Spotify is taking 99% of a song, you know, if I tell you, look, man, this place, 99% of it is mine, but it's yours.
It doesn't
make any sense. Like, so all that music that people are putting out right now, it's owned by Spotify and the streaming platforms effectively. Right? Because they own 99.999 cents of all your streams. Like,
so they're using your access and your popularity to make bread off you.
Yeah, very much. And then you're working hard to keep your brand growing, which keeps them growing, like, for no reason though. For just being a middleman. So which is not fair.
Yeah, even making a couple, you know, million streams on a song, you're making like what, cents every like 1,000 listens or something crazy. Like,
man, you would need, like, I think it's 3 million plays to get like $1,000, and then they won't even pay it to you. And like 3 months later, their pay schedule is always 3 months delayed.
Really?
So like they'll take your $1,000 and then they'll like gamble it away or something. You know what I mean?
Really?
And, you know, yeah.
So $3,000 in the that's maybe enough to pay your rent depending on where you live, right?
But 3 million plays are hard to come by.
That's hard to come by. That's not easy.
It's not easy
at all.
And you do it consistently, like every month, just to make 1,000.
Right.
Makes no sense.
So the only really real way to make money in that industry is like what, touring and maybe a good record deal, right?
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's not, which is a skewed, flawed, corrupt system. While in cryptocurrency, you can run all that yourself, and you make 10 times more what you would make than signing to a label. So are you pro label?
I mean, it just depends, you know. Like for me, I've turned down record deals recently, and it was because they're just not the right situations. Essentially, I'm for a label, but I'm not for the predatory lending that labels pass off as record deals.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a record deal, my man. That is a over glorified loan with very bad terms. And I can get a loan from the bank
For sure,
because I have good credit.
right.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's like I would turn that system down. What I do like, there's a couple of groups that are working, as publicists and publishing houses. So those groups, I would like, just to see doing more of the, less predatory lending,
Right.
Yeah, but like I'm for the independent artists, but also the independent artists you can't do it alone.
Right.
You need partnerships, you need a team.
Yeah.
So essentially, and then you see all these different independent artists, and then they go and then they create a label, but then they sign label deals, and it's all back to the square one.
Yeah, like Russ or something, right?
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, you still need that exposure to get you to the level you need to get to, right? So going into like music and whatnot, and going back into crypto, via exposure, like, do you mind, talking about like your success financially and like what you've been able to do with your cryptocurrency, like
Absolutely.
like what you've done, how much bread you made, all that?
Sure. So basically, we had a couple of different points on like, okay, why, and how, and then so it started out as like, okay, I'm gonna look for these different opportunities to see what this new digital ownership model is like for music and blockchain. But then I quickly realized that there's a big collectibles market. Like people on Twitter, man, they just, y'all crazy. You go up there, you buying JPEGs, you looking at different apes and punks, and they're buying them for $100,000, and it's all because of the social hype that we have together. And so like it's a different type of world, and I got sucked into it very quickly because I was like, wow, like Twitter is kind of booming, but only if you have one of these like cartoon PFPs. What's this all about, right?
What's a PFP?
A PFP is a profile picture.
Oh, okay.
So if you have one of those cartoon PFP, and this is early, I'm talking late 2019,
right?
Like a little bit before all the hype, right? So I'm looking at NFT Twitter, and I'm just like, man, this is kind of cool. What is these crypto punks? And then I'm like, I'll look them up, and the CryptoPunks is the first NFT collection ever, right? And it's a 2017 collection, and at that time, one of them sold for like 5 million or something, and I was like, yo, this is crazy, So I ended up buying one. Man, I've seen so much growth in my Twitter on the social side, and my Instagram too. And I bought it for about 2 ETH and sold it for 5. So before that, let me tell you a little bit about. In 2013, when I read the Bitcoin white paper, that was my first exposure to crypto. It was 2013. I was very sick of the music industry, but still working in it and waiting tables at the time. And then I was like, man, I remember I bought this Pro Tools set, and then I was plugging it up, and I started watching this video, and it was talking about Bitcoin. And it was like, it's a revolutionary. It has these implications that are they're socioeconomic implications, and that got my ear, because socioeconomics are basically a class system. It's where there's a second level citizen, third level citizen, and then in many countries that's how it works. Korea, India, China, even Emirates, where I was living in Abu Dhabi. There's those levels of citizenship, and so it's called a caste system, a class system.
Yep.
And so I was like, wait, socioeconomics, that means it was talking about restructuring the socioeconomics of the world. And I was like, okay, this is interesting to me. So I started reading it, and I was like, okay, I got the goosebumps, because it was a system designed, anyone can plug in, it's a fair system, right? Anyone can mine Bitcoin, become part of the network. Anyone can, basically hold their wealth and their value without being confiscated from a government. which if you think about it, if you had $1 billion, you can either buy a building in Manhattan, but then you would need the city to protect the building, and you would need the building to be maintained.
Right.
And if you wanted to sell it, it's very illiquid.
Right.
Right? And you got to pay taxes on it.
Right.
Or you could buy gold, right? But then gold, you would need the house. You need security for that much gold, right? You would need this and that for that much gold. So that's not really a cheap option either to store $1 billion. And so you really just have no other, like Bitcoin is really the only store of value that you can feel comfortable holding. You don't have to pay, for and pay security for. Why? Because it's secured by every miner in the Bitcoin network. That's the whole point. And then you have your seed phrase, you have your security, pulled in. Nobody can take it from you. Literally, they could try their hardest. They can't take it from you. And so, so that becomes like, I was like, man, this is kind of cool, and my background a little bit with being an immigrant and just kind of seeing the world from that perspective. So I started buying Bitcoin at about $200, about 60 Bitcoin. I started, like, it went up a lot after. It went up to like 1,000. And then later on, it went up to about 20,000 a pop. And I didn't sell when it was high at all. It was after that it crashed after 20,000. I was still up 5 to 6x on whatever I put in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even after the crash.
Yeah, what's 5 to 6x? Like
if it's 200, like Bitcoin was at 1,000, so that's 5x from 200. So it's like I'm still up.
Yeah.
Like 5 times 200 is 1,000.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm up a 5x from where I even started.
Right.
And that's in a crash. That's after it crashed. When it was at 20,000, I was up a whole lot. I was up 20. I was up 10. 5 times 10, so 50x. So I was up 50x. So 50 times 200, that'll get you to 20,000. So it's like if I put 1,000 in, I got 50,000 now. That's a 50x. Man, didn't sell any. Was holding. I'm kind of glad I didn't. And then I was holding, but then later on I needed to pay rent and stuff like that when it came time to it. And like certain tough months. And so I was cashing that bit out, bro. I was like cashing out Bitcoin for bills.
Take care of business.
I was up still, but like 1 month I cashed out 2 Bitcoin to pay rent, and then at the height of the market, that's like 150K. Like I paid 150K for rent that month technically. Like that's hefty, So anyway, so that's my initial entrance into crypto. Is I had that Bitcoin from 2013. So I sold a lot of it, and had like about 20 Bitcoin left in the beginning of like this last bull run. And then I was like, you know what? Never again. I'm swearing my life, I will never touch this Bitcoin ever again. Like ever again. After selling that much of it for rent, man, I was like, no. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start from zero. I'm gonna start from scratch. So everybody that's like, nah, you already have Bitcoin, is gonna see, like, because I was watching these guys on Twitter and then on Discord, they were making 100x, 300x plays, right? Some coins, some stuff like that. That were like, people are being millionaires like that is what I mean. Like, and I'm watching people make money. I'm like, no, I don't need to touch this. If I use this, I'm gonna be able to generate new money. And so that was my MO. So I was like, okay. So then that's when I started getting into NF Twitter. I was like, I used that kind of built-in, tension from the music industry to just drive me further. And just like every day I'm in there 10 hours a day, People are like calling me, want to come record in my recording studio. And I'm like, I'm not recording. Like I have no time for that. This is not the time for it, And so I basically locked myself in for a year. It was like doing that, started learning more of the code on how to code the cryptocurrencies themselves. And then I seen a lot of people that were online that were talking about providing crypto services to get crypto instead of like, buying crypto. And I was like, that's genius. Like, yeah, like I got plenty of services for people. They want, beats done for their NFT projects. I got them.
Oh, so you was in the so you went from the music industry of like the actual music industry to pretty much the crypto industry of music.
Yep. Basically.
So you were able to still provide the skill sets you learned, but in crypto.
Right. And so I sold a few beats, but I would have them be like I would have them buy the NFTs of my beats instead of like send me the money, And so they would just, and then the crypto they would send, it would just be better because it started going up at that time.
Yeah.
And so, so then I started getting crypto. So then I started buying the NFTs for the profile pictures.
Right.
Those collections were powerful. And let me tell you about them because they have a whole paradigm shift that they brought on. They brought on this like idea of social tokens. Now, social tokens are basically these tokens that are funded and pushed and amplified by communities.
Right.
And so like there was nothing better than a profile picture that would represent 10,000 of them or something, and then every person has one, and then they would all go hard for this brand, and essentially you had 10,000 marketers for your one brand, and so your brand blows up way faster.
Right, exactly.
And so in April, I got into in April we created the Cyber Panther Party. Because so many other NFTs had so much success in raising a lot of funds and just giving it to like dogs or like some crazy like. I'm like, man, like we have people in the hood that like need this. Like y'all over here giving out millions to whatever, dog, and respectfully, right? Like, the dogs need it too, but it's like, no, our people need it too though. Like, and a lot of these NFTs what was kind of irking me a little bit was that they would use like all these like cultural like, go teeth or like, chains and, hip hop drip and swag, but it's like you're giving nothing to the hood.
Right.
Like, like absolutely zero to the hood.
Right.
Like, and it's like in your face, like, like, no, like y'all don't get to talk like that. That's cultural appropriation to the highest degree.
Right.
And I was the only one in Twitter spaces to the point where, like I'll be talking like this. I'll be like, man, well, what y'all doing for the hood? This and that. And they just shut me out, bro. Like, they don't even let me speak in Twitter spaces afterwards, because I just kept, just making sure that they were held accountable for certain things. It's like, bro, I don't mind you using the culture, but you got to pay the hood back, like somehow.
Who's that one NFT rapper? You know what I'm talking about?
Which one? The AI one?
The AI.
Oh my God. Calvin Records fucked up on that one.
Yeah, what's that rapper's name? Oh, man.
The fastest rapper to ever get dropped from a label. That's what that is.
Yeah. And what did he get dropped for? Cultural appropriation, right?
Yeah.
Because this was created by white people, and what they did is they stereotyped this white rapper to do black stuff, and then they got caught saying the N-word or something like that.
Oh, so many times.
Saying nigga.
So many times. Like, bro, y'all programmed this AI.
Yeah, I understand.
So basically, I started trading those NFTs. They were really important, and then I started trading. Because I see the value, like people will buy for 2 ETH, people will pump it. Next week is 5 ETH. You would sell it. You just made a nice little bit of money. And then in April we created Cyber Panthers. We pushed it out on testnet, and then we had like a lot of success, but also a little bit of backlash because most of the people in the space at the time were they were just the young white kids, whatever. Like if it was fun, if it was a fun project, they would have completely sold it out, right? But it wasn't fun. It was talking about real issues in the community, utilizing blockchain as a real technology solution for this specific issue. Whereas they just had pictures to sell, right? And then, their whole thing was like, oh, we promised to give it to dog, organizations or whatever it is, and again, not to specifically pick on those organizations, but again, you just got to be mindful of what is going on, the culture that you're using, and contributing to those people first, then give your contributions to other places, and so then in May the Bored Apes came out, right? And so the Bored Apes were on Clubhouse talking for different Clubhouse groups, just chatting and stuff, and then you knew they had something special because that group was just like helpful. They were cool. They would listen. If I spoke about, how y'all helping the hood, they're going to be like, well, yeah, how are we? Like, guys, like, let's figure it out. Like, they won't be like, oh, well, next question. Like, no. you know. So I felt really welcomed and very much like a part of the community. And then they launched their NFT. It didn't even sell out really. And then a day later, this trader named Pranksy, he minted 1,000 of those apes.
So what's minting?
Minting is like when you go to the original website and you grab it fresh out, like you're the first person to buy this item. You just got it like mint, mint fresh or
Okay.
fresh off the mint,
Right.
let's say, yeah.
Yeah.
But the mint is basically when you go to their website and you buy it from them, and they have it through a smart contract. And then basically, you could buy NFTs off of secondary, and that's what most people do. But if you bought it off of secondary, you didn't mint it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the person that minted is the one that got it off that website.
Right.
But it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't give you any rights or anything special. It just means that you just the first person to have it. That's it. Yep. So it didn't mint out all the way. It didn't even sell out, in other words. And then this one trader, Pranksy, he minted 1,000 of them. And then it sold out. And then surely, you can see the hype. People are just, they're grabbing them. Their price is going up. It went from 0.08, about $200, and I got 3 of them at that price. And it went all the way, like, to the height of the market, it went up to 140 ETH.
So 140 ETH would be...
It's about 450K.
450K.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, within like less than a year.
And this is like, what range? We talking about 2019, 2018?
This is 2021.
Really?
In May. You could have bought one. You could have bought one all the way up to, like, July. For the low.
And that's the Bored Apes, all of the apes, the pop culture.
Yep.
Probably the most popular NFTs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Snoop, Eminem, the VMA, it's like everything.
Everybody has one.
Yep. And so, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, so many people have them. But because they're digital assets. Now the way that they got this much value is by having this social element to it, right? But then now that they have this much value, they actually are valued at $5.3 billion. So they've surpassed Supreme already. And they started out like, this is their clothing, for example, like the Bored Ape hoodie. This is the very first piece of clothing they've ever released.
Really?
Yep. And so now they have like way more street clothing, like this hat, or like jackets, jean jackets, stuff like that. But you have a crypto brand that is a decentralized brand, again, with this new technology, that uses new technology to surpass Supreme within less than a year of its inception. Because of the marketing efforts that 10,000 people can have versus one company can have.
Right, and doing that, so that means you are technically a part owner.
Absolutely.
So that means you wearing this is technically branding yourself, right?
And we're let's go, baby. Push the floor up. Let's go.
So you're a co-owner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're an advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to black ownership. That's what's up, man.
That's what we had to let them know. We were there first, bro. A lot of people don't think we there.
Yeah.
They think it's all a bunch of white kids, Nah, there's a few of us in there, man.
Just a couple, right?
Just a couple, at least.
All right. So now speaking on the piece of ownership, right? So you said you've been married since 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you said you got 2 kids too?
Yep.
That's what's up. So going into that piece, I wanted to speak to you a little bit about that. You're successful in cryptocurrency. You've spent 10 hours a day, you said, for a year straight, investing, you know what I'm saying? Paying bills, you had to sacrifice a few Bitcoins to do so, right? So where does the relationship play in part of your sacrifice of being the successful man you are today? Like being married, was your wife supportive on what you were doing? Was it hard? Did you really have to, grind? Was it a high risk, high reward?
Yeah.
Was it an investment? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to find, especially like women who could secure you while you're still trying to succeed in those realms, right?
Yep.
So.
And it's tough. You're right. It's tough for her at times, and it's definitely tough for me at times as well. But it's I was very fortunate to have somebody understanding, and somebody who just like kind of knows my intentions are good, Because other than that, it would be hard. It'd be hard for anyone to not trust you, right?
We gotta pay these bills.
Yeah.
We gotta do this.
So I'm off the school of like, I don't want my lady to pay anything, You know, I'm just from that school of thought. You know, it's
for
not
sure.
that it's right or wrong.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
I just the way I understand the world, you know, and so for me that's where it becomes like I think I have an advantage over a lot of other people because a lot of other people they bring their other one into the finance part of it, and it's stressful. It's very stressful, you know, like especially when you don't have the bills, when you're trying to like take a patch here to finish this bill here and then be late on that bill there, you know, a few days later just cause, you know, so you can have more leadway so you can put food on the table today. You know what I'm saying? So like I've been in those situations a lot.
So you were the provider on top of what you were doing.
Yes.
So you was working your ass off, basically.
Absolutely.
So you was 10 hours a day crypto, and then having like a side job or whatever.
There has to be a way, you know.
So you was making sure it was taken care of. Basically.
Yeah. So basically, and then so one of the things I did on the side to bring that as well as crypto, I figured one thing. I figured, you know what? It's 2022. If I can't make money off of my phone or computer, I'm not doing it right.
Right.
You know, and so I was like, man, there has to be a way I can do something digital I can make money off of. And so I got on Fiverr. I'm actually a very successful Fiverr engineer on there. And I have a few gigs on Fiverr.
You said a Fiverr engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's remotely mix and master people's music. But you know, you just submit the payment through the website called Fiverr.
Yep.
And then so I ran up a lot of clients. I have hundreds of 5-star reviews on there for my music engineering, and I really still did it like as love, you know, like I did it with a passion. So when people heard their records being mixed, they didn't just hear a mix. They heard an edit. They heard it all. They heard the swag. You know?
Yeah.
Like I turned it into a song. In other words, every time. And so yeah. So people just loved it on Fiverr. But so I did that for a while as well. I did having to provide, and like I said, you know, it's just stressful. So I just, you know, if the bills are late, whatever else, she doesn't even have to know about it. You know, like it's taken care of. It's gonna get taken care of by me. You know, and the reason why is I don't want her to stress about it, right? Because if she's stressed about it, then that makes two of us stressed about it. And that's not better than one, because I'd rather just be the one stressed about it than bring her into it.
Right. So you was taking care of business on Fiverr, making sure everybody knew who you was, establishing stuff. Mm-hmm. Still as an engineer and a producer, right, and a mixer. While at the same time, 10 hours a day. So you was constantly on the laptop, bro.
Yeah. No, I was constantly on the laptop. You know, I would dedicate time for her. I would say, okay, Thursday and Saturday.
Them is you days.
Them is you days.
Right.
And then I would probably still not really do it. And then she would still be understanding, like, oh, okay, you know, let's do Saturday, you know, or something. But then I would always make sure that I'm home at night, you know, as early as possible. It doesn't always work, you know, and sometimes it would be those, you know, 6-7 days, couple weeks in a row where I'm like just late nights, you know, working late, and she would be frustrated, you know, and rightfully so, you know. But I learned something, you know, even I think this is another key of like a secret of, you know, my success, I think, that I haven't shared before. But basically, I was into lucid dreaming. I was looking at like Einstein and, you know, different people like that, and Tesla and these people. And then they had these ideas of like, you know, oh, I came up with this great idea when I just had woke up from a nap. And they always say that. They always say like, oh, I just woke up from my sleep with this idea. And then there was this like dude with this, he created an amazing algorithm that we use to this day, this Indian guy, I forget his name. But same thing. He's like, oh, I woke up with this algorithm in my head, you know? And so like, I was convinced that these people were being able to access the subconscious realm and pull from what's called a lawh al-mahfuz. We say that in Islam, but it's also, it's called the Akashic record and other, you know, teachings. But it's basically, you know, a record of everything that was ever thought, will ever be thought of, or ever, you know, ever created, everything, like everything that you could ask for, the answer is there, you know. And so I was convinced that they were able to access this, and so I was attempting to lucid dream every night and access the subconscious realm, kind of like how they did.
So you were sleeping without a blanket?
Is that what they do?
Hey,
I might have to try that, because I'm still trying, by the way.
Because every time that like I get into the sleeping, and you know, like where I feel like I can't move and all that.
Okay.
Like it's always when I'm freaking cold sleeping. I'm
okay.
like, oh gosh,
okay.
my body. I can feel it. So.
I think the technique was like you sleep and then you set an alarm like 4 hours into your sleep, and then the alarm's purpose is only literally so you could turn it off.
Right.
But what it does is it wakes you up just enough to where you can actually be in that in-between zone where you're still awake, but you're dreaming now. And so you're still conscious, but you're dreaming,
right.
And you're in that subconscious realm. And so, so I was convinced about that. So my sleeping patterns were amazing at that time. And I made some of the best moves, like buying those Bored Apes that essentially made me millions of dollars after the fact. But I didn't know at that time, I was just like, man, I'm praying for prosperity, or, I'm asleep so I can figure, let me figure out, what I need to do or what my purpose is in life, right? Like, let me figure it out. And so that's what I was doing, and then when I think about it now, I was channeling the energy of the universe. I was just sleeping on time, waking up at 4:30 in the morning every day and, praying, meditating for an hour and then getting to the computer and then getting to it, And so with that, the reason why I brought that up, because it has to do with my sleep schedule, which has to do with my relationship. Because again, if you're out all night every night, your woman is not going to be too happy. Even if she's understanding,
of course,
it's just like, it just doesn't feel right, and a part of it is their security. A part of it, they're scared sometimes, like you don't want to tell you that, like you're not around, it's nighttime, like there's people have fears, what I'm saying? And so you want to, protect her emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so I think the sleep patterns, if you, not only are you going to get the lucid dreaming and conquer the world and be, in sync with the universe, harnessing the energy of the sun and not going against it, and so these things, like, it also helps your relationship, is all I was trying to say. It's a long answer.
No, I understand completely.
Yeah.
Investments.
Yep.
Rest of I had to sacrifice, man.
I had to sacrifice.
That fiver came in clutch.
Yeah. And going out, I sacrificed that. I don't go out at all. Like, people don't see me, very much at all. And I had to sacrifice that for also for my profession to be successful, and then also for my relationship.
That's what's up. So pretty much you prioritize yourself. You had to.
I had to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
See, a lot of people are taught, like, you have to prioritize, everything around you, or like you have to do this and put her first. But, in order to create that security, you have to make sure you take care of yours first. It's just goal-oriented, being ambitious, right? So that's a valuable thing for sure. Going into, that piece, right? Going back into cryptocurrency and specifics, what is the most valuable thing that you want to teach people? Like, is cryptocurrency like the new Google? Is it the new Apple stock? Is it something that if you don't invest in it 20 years from now, you're going to regret doing it? You know how, like, when Google was knocking on people's doors in 1999, like, hey, yo, we need y'all to invest in this. Mm-hmm. And if you invested $100 back then, you'd be a multimillionaire today, right?
Yeah.
Is it something like that?
Absolutely. And because it is new technology, and it's just, it's growing. And the trajectory of the network growth itself is what you really should be paying attention to, because that's what happened with the internet. There's a .com bubble. People thought, oh, it's passing fad, right? And then everything crashed. Even Amazon crashed 90%.
Right.
Apple crashed 95%, 99%, all of it. And so then it came back. But the people that held throughout the whole thing, yeah, you did great. But the people that also bought after the crash, they did great. But the people that dollar cost averaged in just kept buying, $5 a week or whatever, they also did great. So all these people did great, not just the initial early, you know what I mean? And so now it's like same thing in crypto. There was the initial early Bitcoiners and Ethereum people that bought Ethereum at $6. In the crash, Ethereum is $1,700. And so those people are doing well, very well, right? But then there's also people that bought it at $800. There's also people that bought it at, higher than that, and it's now in the crash. Right. And so those people need to hold, and then need to, kind of pay attention. It's a long-term thing for sure. So I'd say you touched on the best point there. Is it a long-term, hold? Yes, absolutely. Is it a fast flip? Sometimes, but in the long term, I don't think you can lose. Anybody that's held Bitcoin for 4 or more years always made money, a lot of money off of their Bitcoin, for example. So I think, 4-year increments, I would invest. That's a short-term investment, in the investing world. So 4 years is a short-term investment anyways. But then you have the traders and the flippers. Now, those people, it's easy to get wrecked. You know, getting wrecked is like losing all your money. That's what wrecked means, you know? So it's like, you know, you don't want to do that because, you know, I would say even a lot of the best traders in the world, they say if they would have just held their initial position,
right,
they would have been better off now.
Just being patient, right?
That's it.
Yeah, so we're actually hitting the hour points. From here, I have one more question for you to give to the audience. We are running out of a little bit of time. There's so many more questions I do want to ask, though.
We got to talk more.
Yeah, so if you want to, man, you know what I'm saying, you could be able to come back anytime and we could be able to talk a little bit more.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Fire.
Give people the information.
Appreciate that.
Right?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that for the people.
If there's one more thing you can give to the audience, what would it be?
You know, I would say do your own research. You know, do your own research. Like, that is the best thing I could tell you. You know, be vigilant. You know, be diligent. You know, there's a lot happening. There's a big paradigm shift. If you look and follow where the money is going, you'll see there's a new paradigm shift. There's a new asset ownership model.
Look in the camera
And,
too.
you know, if you're not paying attention to it, you know, I think it might pass you by. But we're still early. Also, I want everyone to know that we're still early. So that's why if you see people type in GM on Twitter, that's what it's about. Because we're still early in the space. I'll type GM on Twitter, you know, at 10 p.m. at night, and that's why, you know, because it just signals like, man, I just seen something that reminded me how early we are in the new ownership model. So, you know, stay strong, stay empowered. You know, definitely check out cyberpanthers.xyz. Their Learn and Earn tab is live already. You could get crypto and NFTs for taking courses that teach you about this stuff. So this is already live. Please check it out. It's completely free. You can also check out Cyber Panthers on OpenSea or on Twitter. Cyber Panthers with a Z at the end. I'm Rxdha, Rxdha1 on Twitter, aka Gucci Ape. You know, so check me out. Music Box, Gucci. And yeah, man, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been an honor. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Appreciate
for sure. Thank you. And all right, y'all, that is the show. I'm your host, Young Activist. And to my right, to your left, we got Rxdha. Thank you very much, man, for showing up and showing out. And remember, your outcome always is your income.
TRU tattoo, bout it kind of 90s stuff.